You're locked in to the Grain Market Talk podcast. Fast updates, market movers, and the grain news you need right now. Trading commodity futures and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining the Grain Market Talk podcast. My name's Lucas Peters, filling in here for Mr. Miner, who is out and about a little bit today. I got Jaden Houselog in the podcast studio with me today. How's it going, Jaden?
It's going good, Lucas. How about yourself?
Well, we're doing pretty good because I know we're going into a Memorial Day weekend, but it's raining right now as we're recording the podcast, which I'll be honest is something I think everybody kind of needs in most of our listening area, as still pretty dry out there, even after the rain this past weekend. But I do want to mention, please click the link in the description below and try to sign up for our daily market commentary, or check out our website, professionalagmarketing.com, and see everything we got to offer out there. Find links to past episodes and lots of information on their crop, livestock, everything you need for all your risk management. So we're going to get started here on the podcast and kind of looking back on the week, Jaden. The last week, it seemed like was supposed to be the big market moving week, right? We had lots of information. We had the WASDE report. We had Trump going to China. And the grain markets really didn't respond well at the end of last week. And then we're sitting here on Sunday and we got a kind of a neat tweet about China agreeing to buy a bunch of agricultural products from the United States. And that spurred everything on Monday. So, Jaden, what can you tell us after reviewing that information that came out and the reaction here early in the week?
Yeah, Lucas, like you said, last week the grain markets went home pretty disappointed. A lot of people are asking the question, man, is the high in this market? Well, that all changed Sunday night there as about an hour before the open there, the White House released a fact sheet, and that showed that China will purchase at least $17 billion per year of U.S. ag goods through 2028, and that's addition to the soybean purchase commitments of the 25 million metric tons. So that total is around 28 billion. But the important thing to remember here is the 17 billion of non-soy products. And if we look at that over history, the last time we reached a number like that is 2022. And in 2022, China did buy U.S. corn there. So the funds, they got what they wanted. They saw that headline and they bought it up Monday, like Lucas said, up 21 cents there on corn. And we haven't seen that since 2023.
Yeah, so kind of an awesome way to start out the week, right? That now we have, if you've been in this business long, we've always, I shouldn't say always, but we all have memories of different China deals and packages that have been made in the past. We still refer to phase one, a deal that was quite a few years ago now. But it's always good news when they do enter into an agreement, and kind of a nice result coming out of that meeting. And so definitely kind of a buy the rumor, which is maybe a little more than a rumor, but a long way from fact yet.
Right.
And so we jumped out to a big start there on Monday and got back quite a bit of the market, at least on the corn market, that we lost there end of last week. But of course, that's not the only international news going on as we sit in the world today. Jaden, we still have a conflict going in in Iran. And I know there's been different tweets and messages. I guess as we look past or over the past week, what are some of the takeaways you have on the Iran conflict?
Yeah, so after Monday's trade, it seemed like the grain market needed something new to trade, needed, fresh news, and it didn't really have anything to trade after that Monday. So it continued to trade the Middle Eastern conflict, like Lucas said there. So the crude oil market, looking at that in the past week. So Wednesday, we did see a sharp sell-off there as Trump put out a tweet that the U.S. and Iran are nearing ending this war. So we did see a sharp sell-off there, and it brought the grains right back down with it. So a lot of those gains we did have on Monday, we've taken a lot of those back. But if you look at a December corn chart here, still offers some great support here. I mean, that blue trend line there, the upward trend line is still intact. So definitely don't want to violate that too bad here. But seems like we really need fresh bullish news to keep feeding the bulls in this market going forward in this grains.
Yeah, and when we have these international things going on, that of course can lend itself to bullish news, but of course it can lend itself to non-bullish news just as quickly as, like you said, this week was a great example of that. How on Monday we get some good news coming out of China on a potential trade deal with a lot of egg products, kind of set everything on fire. And then all of a sudden, well, this Iran war might be over soon, and we could give up a lot of the commodities. But of course, I haven't seen a tweet that the Iran war is officially over. Just a lot of tweets back and forth on that. So definitely something we want to watch. And I don't know, kind of transition here a little bit, maybe to a little more local area, Jaden. We are in the early stages of the growing season, and that, of course, can provide challenges and opportunities as well. But as we look or talk a little bit on what we're seeing locally in our area, just a quick review of how the growing season has went. For the most part, planting conditions have been really good, right? So planting is, I'm going to say, pretty much wrapped up in our area. Or if you're listening to the podcast, I know there's a few guys fighting a few wet pockets, maybe in northern South Dakota or North Dakota here and there. But as a whole, the planting season's over. Early growth has been very, very slow, primarily driven by temperature, right? So we planted into good conditions, but we've had spurts of heat followed by longer periods of cool weather. But the most prominent condition has been dry. And the large area really needs a shot of rain. This past weekend, we did get some rainfall, didn't we? If we have a map there, Jaden, what can you tell us on what we saw for rainfall here this past week?
Yeah, Sunday, Monday offered some severe weather there, especially for those dry areas, like you're saying. Was really looking closely at that eastern South Dakota, eastern Nebraska area, and we did get some rainfall there on Sunday, Monday. Did miss out there on northeastern Nebraska and eastern South Dakota. So this is just actually a week preset map here. So looking out at a week here, a lot of rain out there in the southeastern United States there, where a lot of that drought is creeping into the Corn Belt. But looks like we'll keep that away over here the next week. But over the next week, eastern South Dakota looks like they'll get some rain, and as well as Nebraska. Maybe not as much as they want, but they're getting some at least.
Yeah, that's a good point and a good visual to show that it is starting to rain, at least in our area. And I know one of the things that, well, when you listen to different weathermen or follow them on Twitter, one of the things they say is for Midwest weather, at least where we're at in the Midwest, you should watch Arkansas. If Arkansas starts getting rain early in the season, that should be good things for rainfall into our area. Well, as you pointed out, in the southeast there, significant rainfall over the past week, and kind of good to see because that should kind of open up that Gulf moisture up for us in the summer months. And maybe we're starting to see a little bit of that, right? We got some rain Sunday. We're getting some rain again today. Of course, maybe not quite as much as we need or would like to see, but every little bit helps. You mentioned the severe weather on Sunday, and I did bring up, I'll have Kate bring up a little hail map. So definitely has some storms move through on Sunday, and Sunday was one of those days where, or coming off this past weekend, it was kind of warm, it was a little humid, and conditions were right to put some storms in our area. And so this kind of picture is a picture that one of our crop insurance companies provides on locations of hail. And this past Sunday evening, you can see a pretty significant swath of decent size hail for this early in the growing season. Pretty significant size hail stretching from southeast South Dakota. You can see estimated over 3 to 4 inch hail there, down around kind of west of Yankton, stretching up through Sioux Falls and Laverne and north and east from there. And it kind of died out after that, but not something we want to see very often. Did damage a few of our early growth on our crops, right? Corn, not a lot of damage because the growing point's still below ground, but we did have some replant going on soybeans that did get cut off. So just something to watch, something to be aware of. It is a good reminder. Mid-May, you get a hailstorm, severe weather. Make sure you're prepared and your family's prepared for severe weather this summer. But also on your crops, if you're interested in looking at adding a hail policy, if you haven't done so, maybe something to take a peek at that we got this reminder. I did want to mention a one thing, Jaden. I've been getting a lot of questions as we're doing some acreage reporting on the crop insurance about ARC PLC sign up. That farm program sign up will take place in 2026, but just estimated to be a little later in the year. September, October timeframe is what one guy I was talking to has suggested. So don't delay reporting any of your planted acres to FSA get your 578 reports. Still have to do that, and when the sign up period comes out, be watching for that. And the last thing I did want to mention on government programs is the SDRP program, which was kind of been a long program. I think signups started last fall for that. We had phase 1 and phase 2. There was just an additional payment issued on that early May. That was originally 35% of the potential was paid. Another 35% was paid the first week of May. And that program now got extended till the end of August. But if it comes in under budget, there will be an additional top-up payment for phase 1 and phase 2 as well. So something to potentially look for in early September if we come in under budget on that SDRP program. So with that, Jaden, one thing as we roll into Memorial Day weekend, it's kind of our first of three-day weekends through early summer, right? We have Memorial Day weekend, we have Juneteenth, and then we have July 4th. And we always, that's a key time in the growing season. It's early on. We're watching weather, we're watching rainfall, we're watching heat. What are some things that we should be looking at as corn, soybean farmers? What are some ways that we should be looking at our grain marketing plan as we enter this early summer season?
Yeah, if Cade pulls up the seasonal chart here, Lucas, so I have highlighted on this chart here. So the first line there, the blue line that goes up and down there is May 7th. So in the yellow line there is December 26th futures. So if you look at that, we really like to make a peak there early May as we're starting to get the crop in the ground, starting to emerge and such. And also then you look at June 19th. That really sticks out to me around Father's Day. Over the last 5-year average, 10-year, 15, and so on, you can see there we tend to make a spike during that time. So I would say for the grain producer for now on over the next month, I would really be thinking about selling rallies over the next few months here or the next month here. And as weather looks good as of right now, like we just previously mentioned, rainfall's not really a problem right now. If we get any type of weather hookup, you probably want to do something about it going forward.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome thing to remember in the times we're in now of China news, tweets, Iran conflict. This time of year, from early May through mid-June, the seasonal patterns usually still hold. Mm-hmm. And it's a good reminder, Jaden, to don't be lackadaisical on your plan. Have a plan in place. Put some working orders in place to take advantage of those opportunities when they present themselves. Because as your chart showed, they usually don't last very long.
Nope,
and once you get kind of in that end of June, they fall off pretty quick. So let's not miss those opportunities as they arise. All right. Anything to wrap up the week here, Jaden?
No, Lucas, I'll just tell everyone to have a great 3-day weekend here.
That sounds great. Thank you for joining our Grain Market Talk podcast, and have a safe weekend.